Hello and thank you for watching this video. My name is Various Kaiser, and I use text-to-speech because my voice sucks. So, in this video, I will give a basic explanation of what is invoked, what the card does, the ratio of cards to play, and also the tech card you can play with this archetype. Without further ado, let's begin. What is Invoked? Invoked is a fusion-based archetype that works more like an engine that you can include in other decks. It revolves around the main deck monster, Alistair the Invoker, to fusion summons extra deck monsters. You can also banish a monster from either graveyard for the fusion material. For the main deck monster, we have Alistair the Invoker, Dark Spellcaster, Effect Monster. Level 4, with 1000 attacks and 1800 defense. Its effect is Quick Effect. You can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, then target one fusion monster you control. It gains 1000 attack and defense until the end of this turn. If this card is normal summoned or flipped face up, you can add one invocation from your deck to your hand. Next is the spell. We have one field spell, one fusion spell, and one quick play spell card. First is the field spell, Magical Meltdown. This card effect is when this card is activated. You can add one Alistair the Invoker from your deck to your hand. The activation of your cards and effects that include an effect that fusion summons a fusion monster cannot be negated. Also, your opponent's cards and effects cannot activate when a monster is fusion summoned this way. You can only activate one Magical Meltdown per turn. Next is the fusion spell, Invocation. Its effect is fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand as fusion material. If summoning an invoked fusion monster this way, you can also banish monsters from your field and/or either player's graveyard as fusion material. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one of your banished Alistair the Invoker, shuffle this card into the deck, and if you do, add that monster to your hand. You can only use this effect of invocation once per turn. The last spell is the Book of the Law. Its effect is Tribute 1 Invoked Monster. Special Summon 1 Invoked monster from your extra deck with a different original attribute from that monster. This is treated as a fusion summon. You can only activate one the Book of the Law per turn. For the trap, we only had one, and that is Omega Summon. Its effect is target any number of your banished invoked monsters with different names. Special summon them in defense position. Now for the extra deck monster. This archetype has 9 extra deck monsters, 1 link monster, and 8 fusion monsters. For the link monster, we have Alistair the Invoker of Madness, Dark, Spellcaster, Link, Effect, Monster, Link 2 with 1800 attack, Link arrow point down left right. You can summon this using 2 monsters with different types and different attributes. Its effect is this card's name becomes Alistair the Invoker, while on the field or in the graveyard. If a monster is fusion summoned while you control this monster, except during the damage step, you can discard one card, and if you do, add one invocation, or the Book of the Law from your deck to your hand. If this face-up card you control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can add one Omega Summon from your deck to your hand. Next is the fusion monster. First we have Invoked Elysium. Light, Fairy, Fusion, Effect, Monster. Level 10 with 3200 attacks and 4000 defenses. Require one invoked monster, and one monster that was special summoned from the extra deck. Its effect is must first be fusion summoned with the above fusion materials. While face up on the field, this card is also Dark, Earth, Water, Fire, and Wind attribute. Once per turn, quick effect. You can target one invoked monster you control, or in your graveyard. Banish it and all monsters your opponent controls with the same attribute as that monster. The second is Invoked Machaba, Light Machine Fusion Effect Monster. Level 9 with 2500 attacks and 2100 defenses. Require Alistair the Invoker, plus 1 light monster. Its effect is once per turn, when a spell trap card, or monster effect, is activated. Quick effect. You can send the same type of card, monster, spell, or trap, from your hand to the graveyard. Negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card. The third is Invoked Magellanica. Earth, Rock, Fusion, Monster. Level 8 with 3000 attacks and 3300 defenses. Require Alistair the Invoker, plus 1 Earth monster. This fusion monster is a normal monster with no effect and just a beat stick. The fourth is Invoked Ides, light, fairy, fusion, effect, monster. Level 8 with 2000 attacks and 2800 defenses. Require Alistair the Invoker, plus 1 fusion monster. Its effect is, if this card is special summoned or a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field, you can target one monster your opponent controls, destroy it. You can only use this effect of Invoked Ides once per turn. Once per turn, you can banish one fusion monster from your graveyard. This card gains attacks equal to that banished monster's attack until the end of your opponent's turn. The fifth is Invoked Purgatrio, fire, fiend, fusion, effect, monster. Level 7 with 2300 attacks and 2000 defenses. Require Alistair the Invoker, plus 1 fire monster. Its effect is, this card gains 200 attacks for each card your opponent controls. Can attack all monsters your opponent controls, once each. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. The sixth is Invoked Cositus, water dragon fusion effect monster. Level 6 with 1800 attacks and 2900 defenses. Require Alistair the Invoker plus 1 water monster. Its effect is cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. This card can attack while in face-up defense position. If it does, apply its attacks for damage calculation. The seventh is Invoked Ragin, wind, warrior, fusion, effect, monster. Level 5 with 2200 attacks and 2400 defenses. Require Alistair the Invoker plus 1 wind monster. Its effect is once per turn, quick effect. You can target one face-up monster on the field, change it to face-down defense position. The last fusion monster is Invoked Caliga, dark, beast, fusion, effect, monster. Level 4 with 1000 attacks and 1800 defenses. Require Alistair the Invoked plus 1 dark monster. Its effect is each player can only attempt to activate one monster effect per turn. Each player can only attack with one monster during each battle phase. Now, for the card ratio. It all depends on preference and also what deck you play. But this is my preferred ratio for the Invoked. 3 copies of Alistair the Invoker, 2 copies of Magical Meltdown, 2 copies of Invocation, and 2 copies of Invoked Mecha Ba. Next is the other Invoked card. Again, it's all according to your preference. If you want to play another Invoked card, you can play, but I think this card is more versatile. Also, all these cards are only played at 1 copy because most of the time you only summon these cards just once. The card is 1 copy of Alistair the Invoker of Madness, 1 copy of Invoked Ides, and 1 copy of Invoked Caliga. Now for the tech card. This card that I show you are the card that you might include when you want to include Invoked Engine into your deck, even though it's only 2 cards. First is Terraforming to search for Magical Meltdown and Artemis. The Magistus Moon Maiden uses as materials for Invoked Makaba by tributing Alistair the Invoker. Now this is the basic combo for the Invoked that starts with normal summon Alistair, the Invoker, that will end with Invoked Machaba. Let's say that this combo doesn't get interrupted. First you normal summon Alistair the Invoker and activate its effect to add Invocation to your hand from the deck. Next, use Alistair the Invoker as material to summon Artemis the Magistus Moon Maiden. Then use the Invocation that you add using Alistair the Invoker effect. Banish Alistair the Invoker and Artemis, the Magistus Moon Maiden as materials to fusion summon Invoked Makaba. The last step is to add banished Alistair the Invoked to your hand to start the combo again next turn, by shuffling the Invocation in the graveyard to the deck. Now we have reached the end of the video. I hope that this video helps you a little bit about the Invoked archetype. Also, if you guys don't mind, please watch my other video, and maybe subscribe to my channel. See you guys again next time. Bye.